Mr. Fantastic, aka The Voice, and this is Alien Nation, The Basement. In this installment, we'll be bringing you the legends of hip hop. But first, as usual, you know I got to pay the bills. This broadcast is brought to you by Community Power in affiliation with HB Naturals. Gotta give a special shout out to Coach Marcus Jones and Troy Monroe. Check them out on Facebook, follow them, whether it's network marketing, health and wellness, or you just need, something positive in your life. These guys can deliver. Again, that's Coach Marcus Jones and Troy Monroe. Check them out. All right, guys, now, for those of you that are new to the show, I am Fame the Rapper. I am Mr. Fantastic, aka The Voice. I am a lot of things, personas. When I'm on the microphone, I am just about anybody that I want to be. At this moment in time, I am The Voice. You know what? That sounded kind of cheesy, but we're going to leave it in anyway. How about that? But let's get hold into it, man. As I said, this show is about legends. Some that you may know, some that you may not. Before I really get into it, I want to read a little insert from Excel magazine that was published around 2013. It's an old article, but the insert that I want to read really goes along with what I'm doing today. So here we go. All right, now, a common truism is that history is written by the winners. When it comes to the story of hip-hop, most fans seem to only remember the greats, the artists that have made an undeniable impact in the course of hip-hop history. Warm memories are associated with the greats. Nobody forgets Rakim, Nas, Outkast, Run DMC, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, or the Wu-Tang. Their place is permanently etched in canon, and they will not be soon forgotten. Their names will cause chills to run down the spines of hip-hop's most dedicated fans. Of course, success is only one part of hip-hop history. Thousands of acts have released hip-hop albums over the years, which means there are plenty of groups that have slipped through the grasp of time. Not everybody who releases an album can be a huge generational defining star. Some lack talent, some lack luck. The forgotten stories of hip-hop need to be told as well to remind us that chance is fleeting and you need to make the most of a given opportunity, even if you never succeed. Now, let's just jump right into it. The first on my list is a group that I came up on, and some of you that are my age should remember this group. I know one person in particular, if you're out there listening, Chase, you're going to remember this group, because we used to bump this on a regular. Raw Fusion. Who remembers Raw Fusion out there? I know some of y'all probably don't. So let's just go into who they were. Raw Fusion was a Digital Underground spinoff, basically, with Money B and your boy, DJ Fuse, I think was his name. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's it, DJ Fuse. So they had their own little thing going, and it was a lot different from the music that Digital Underground put out. It was more raw and had a touch more rugged feel to it. You know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken, Pac even appeared on a few of their tracks, and the music that they were doing at that time, it really fit who Pac ended up turning into. But anyway, Raw Fusion, man, and they had two albums. Live from Stylatron and then the Hoochie Feel Funk. Yo, my favorite song from them guys though was Put Your Hands Up. Or was it Hands in the Air? It was it Hands in the Air? I'm sorry, I truly apologize. It's been a minute since I listened to it, but it was dope. All right, we're gonna move on to the next. Now, this group, they didn't last too long as a group. I don't think. But both of them did continue to go on to have some awesome careers. One of them actually became DJ Alchemist, and the other one is television, I believe. I believe it's in television. But the Hooligans, man, they were from Beverly Hills, California. You know what I mean? They were part of the Soul Assassins crew. You know what I mean? And for those of you who don't know who the Soul Assassin crew were, they consisted of Cypress Hill, House of Pain, and Funk the Beast, I believe. I believe that was the name of it. But anyway, they only released only the one album. You know what I mean? And it was called Make Way for the W. The single was called Put Your Hands Up. Ironically, this is not the song that I was talking about with Raw Fusion. I think Raw Fusion was Hands in the Air. But yeah, Put Your Hands Up. It was a good single, man. It was a good single. I remember that joint. And then they had one, I think it was called Doesn't Mean Nothing or Don't Mean Nothing, something like that, you know what I mean? But they were great. They were teenagers, you know what I mean? The two members of the group was Mad Skills and Mudfoot, you know what I mean? And like I said, one became the Alchemist and the other became a television star. Scott Kane became the television star, you know what I mean? But let's move on. Next we have the Kings of Swing. The Kings of Swing. Now, this group was a little different, especially, for the era that it came out in, you know what I mean? It was early 90s hip hop, you know what I mean? And they were one of the few groups that had male rappers and a female DJ, you know what I mean? One of the few. And that DJ was Coco Chanel, But y'all probably will remember the single Nod Your Head to This. That was one of the top hip hop singles of 1990. It was a nice song. Check it out if you haven't. Alright, now this guy right here, he was from the Bronx. You know what I mean? His name was Nine. You know what I'm saying? He had 2 albums. Signed to Profile Records in the 90s. You know what I mean? He had one of those low gravelly voices with that flow that you remember. You know what I mean? That distinctive, sharp type of flow. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get too big though, but he did have a little success with What You Want. That was his single, What You Want. It peaked at number 50 on the Billboard charts. You know what I mean? So it was a good song. You know what I mean? It was a good song. Now next on this list, and the last, well, I ain't gonna say the last, but the last one on my actual list, because I wanted to do cats that y'all probably didn't remember, and cats that would make some of you have some nice memories about that era. But the College Boys, you know what I'm saying? They didn't last long. They were signed to Virgin Records. They were from Los Angeles too. Originally they were called RMG, and their dopest song was in 1992, and it was called Victim of the Ghetto. You know what I'm saying? It peaked at 68 on the billboards. You know what I mean? It was alright. But that's it for my actual list. Now, let's go to some legends that I know all of you guys know, like Boogie Down Productions, like Buckshot Shorty and Black Moon, Helter Skelter, you know what I mean? Spice One, King T. Who else? What's some more legends? I'm trying to dig deep for you. I want to go deep, make you guys thinking and remember what hip hop used to be. You know what I'm saying? Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Pete Rock's album Soul Survival. That joint was smoking. You gotta check that joint out. That was smoking. You know what I mean? The Lost Boys. Special Ed, you know what I mean? Special Ed. You might not like Special Ed, but you gotta admit that dude had a nice flow. You know what I'm saying? And he probably would have still been doing it for longer than he was Biggie wouldn't have jumped down his throat. You know what I mean? But I ain't gonna talk about that little tiff taff right there. You know, I don't even understand why Biggie did that to that man. But anyway, let's move on. Oh yeah, and if you guys know some legends that I didn't name or somebody you feel like I should have named, leave me a voice comment. You know, the voice message box is turned on. So all you gotta do is just hit the button and record your voice, and you know, I'll get the message. And as long as you ain't coming out your neck with no crazy stuff, I'll make sure that my fans get to hear your message too. But alright, let's keep going. A friend of mine, we were having a conversation the other day, and that's kind of what sparked this show. So Harley, aka Hoodie, if you out there listening, bro, this show is dedicated to you because you made me want to talk about some legends. And we talked about a lot of cats, you know what I mean? One of those guys that we talked about, it escapes me. Oh, it escapes me. I'm not even gonna lie to you, so I'm gonna move on from that. Slight brain fart moment, you know. You gotta forgive me. We all have them, you know. We do. But let's move on. A legend that I really want to talk about. One of the first big guys on the mic. And when I say big guys, I'm not talking about his success or his fame, even though he did get famous. You know what I mean? He was big not only in stature but in size, and that was Chubb Rock. And for those of you that don't know, definitely check Chubb out. Go to YouTube and check him out. He was a phenomenal spitter, one of the best of that time, and if possible, I would put him up against anybody today. He had a nice cadence. Everything about his flow was dope. Chubb Rock, so check Chubb out. You know. Another big guy. I want to say that he was one of the first artists that really excelled at combining R&B and the hip hop flavor. You know what I mean, with a little bit of swing to it. You know, and some of you probably already know who I'm talking about without me saying anything, just from that little description right there. But if you don't, Heavy D. Remember Heavy D, the big light-skinned guy? I'm not even gonna try to do what he used to do, cause I'd butcher it. But you know what he used to do with the D's and I can't see. Look at that. I can't even do it. I can't do it even a little bit. But y'all know what he used to do. That man was dope, and he was a big dude that danced. That was what really put him above and beyond a lot of the other cats that was out back then. You know what I mean? Another legend. Let's see here. Who else could I talk about that you guys may not remember? Let's see. I think I mentioned this guy on my first or second podcast, but Gigolo Tony. He was one of the first guys that I actually heard rap on the radio, and he was one of the guys that's responsible for me actually wanting to, you know, do it. He sparked my interest in it. You know what I mean? And I still remember some of the rhymes that he used back then. I would spit one for you, but I really don't want to do that, you know. But you know what? We having fun. This is a podcast, so I'm gonna do it for you, man. This is some of the lines from back in the I want to say mid 80s was when I heard this. You know what I mean? I want to say it was the mid 80s. So, you know, keep in mind it's not gonna be no dramatical spitting type deal, you know. But nah, you know what? I ain't gonna do that. We gonna move on from that. Y'all thought you had me, didn't you? Nope. I really enjoy doing these episodes, you know. I think I should have started a podcast a long time ago. I think some of you guys are enjoying it. You know, I noticed that my listeners are starting to pick up, and, you know, that's awesome. I want y'all to keep listening to it, because I'm going to be bringing a lot of different people on. conversations, not only about hip hop, but about our community, about the kings and queens that, aren't doing what they should, and maybe come up with some ways that we can help people get where they need to be. You know what I mean? That's what Alien Nation is all about. We just want to reach out to everybody, connect everybody on some level, and help everyone gain an understanding of each other. But anyway, hip hop legends, man. KRS-One, that's a dude that really influenced a large percentage of the hip hop world, the hip hop community, the fans, everybody benefited from listening to a KRS-One track. Everybody, and I know I already said Boogie Down Productions, but I wanted to say KRS-One separately. I wanted to say it separately. But anyway, moving on. I'm feeling kind of good this morning, man. It's real early. To be honest with y'all, I had a nice time at my mom's yesterday, and I didn't eat while I was there. I took my plate back home with me, and I had this big plate of macaroni and cheese, that baked kind, with the 6 or 7 different cheeses in it, with a little bit of sour cream thrown in there to help that tang pop. Oh yeah, some dressing, some candy yams, some greens. Now she made some baked chicken too, but I ain't take none of that home. I don't really like legs, you know what I mean? I don't really like legs, so I ain't get no chicken. But then I got some of that dressing. That dressing was so good, yo. The dressing was so good. And for y'all young ladies out there that don't know how to cook dressing, learn that. Learn it. I promise you it'll keep your man at home on Sunday. But anyway, mad love, shout out to my mom, Jeanette Adams, for the big Father's Day dinner. But, like I said, I brought the plate home, and she made this banging banana pudding, vanilla cookies all through it with the bananas in the pudding, right? But then she crumbled up some Oreos on top of that joint. She crumbled up the Oreos on top of that joint, sprinkled all the way across. And when I tell you that thing was banging, I told myself I was only gonna eat a little bit because of the sugar content, but I ended up eating a massive plate. Long story short, I remember laying back on the bed, rubbing my stomach and saying, man, that was good. And that's all I remember. I woke up at maybe 2 o'clock this morning. Maybe 2 o'clock and couldn't get back to sleep. So that's what prompted me to go ahead and do this episode. And here we are. I've had my cup of coffee. I feel pretty good. It's supposed to rain today though, So make sure you guys got your umbrellas. But anyway, back to the legends of hip hop. Onyx. Onyx was a phenomenal group. Mad energy. They were in your face, and they had bars. Shout out to Stinky Fingers. Y'all know I'm on that joint with Sticky, right? Oh yeah, check that joint out too if you ain't checked it out. But and then you got I don't know why I didn't mention these guys first and foremost. The Roots. The Roots are one of the best to ever do it. From the content of their music to the music itself. One of the first rap groups that I knew of, and I could be wrong, but one of the first that I knew of that actually played instruments instead of just using samples and DJ equipment. Now they did have DJ equipment and stuff like that they used, but usually they performed all of their music. They were actual musicians. musicians, and that was awesome. It really was. And when it came to spitting, Black Thought is possibly one of the best to ever do it. One of the best to ever do it. Cannabis, that's another legend. Short-lived career as far as being like in the main spotlight, but he managed to continue to do music for a long time after his falling out battle, or whatever you want to call it, with Cool J. Now, some of you gonna say that Cool J lost. Some of you gonna say Cannabis lost. Me, I'm gonna say Cool J won. I'm gonna say that it was a nice battle, but in the end, Cool J won. Mainly because he was still around after the battle. And it seems like after that moment in time, Cannabis started to slip a little bit in the ratings and in the public eye and all that. So it's like, no matter how tough you is on the mic, if that battle, kind of started the landslide for your career, then, you lost. That's just my opinion on it, you know what I mean? Because Cannabis, he was a spitter, make no mistakes about it. But I watched some battle footage for Cannabis that's like up to date, and it was trash. I'm sorry, Cannabis, but it was trash, buddy. If that's what you're doing now, stop. And I really don't mean to disrespect the legend, because you are a legend, but if that's the best you can do nowadays, just stop. Let it go. Please. Moving on. All right, let's see here, man. It's a guy that I wanted to mention, and I meant to put it in my notes, and I did not write it down. MC Hammer. And I mentioned him because he did his thing when he came out. Now, I wasn't like one of those Hammer fans. I didn't get the lines cut in my hair. I didn't wear the parachute pants and all that, or get the lines cut in my eyebrow and all that stuff there. But, he had some nice music, I think for him, what eventually ended his lyrical career wasn't the fact that he wasn't nice on the mic, because Hammer had some bars, he really did. I think what ended it for him was the fact that he came out a certain way and projected and branded a certain image, and after a given time, the hip-hop world was changing. If you've got a branded image, then that's what the public pretty much is gonna expect from you. That's what they're going to accept. And so when everything switched up and gangster music started to become a thing, MC Hammer decided that it was time for him to do the street thing too. Now, for those of you that don't know, he was a street guy. Now, I'm not saying he was run up on you and hit you in the head, rob you, or nothing like that. But from what I understand and what I've read, and from videos I've watched from other artists that knew of him, he was a street guy, basically. He would run up on you if you made it a problem like that. He would, approach you directly with it. That was how he did what he did. It's a lot of dope stories about Hammer on YouTube. You guys definitely should check those out. Most of the ones that I came across actually ended up being true, and that was just from me cross-referencing and doing things like that to validate those stories. But anyway, Hammer tried to come back, and he wasn't the same MC Hammer anymore. He had gotten rid of the parachute pants and all that, and that was understandable. You had to do that because the style itself, as far as what people was wearing, had changed. So when he came back out, he was trying to thug it. I mean, he had changed up everything. Everything about himself had changed. way he delivered some of his bars, his dress code had changed. Everything. It was like he was trying to be this rough and rugged street dude, but you had already shown the world this other side. So now they didn't accept that. They took that as being you fronting to try to make a dollar, you know. And the only ones that knew he wasn't fronting was the ones that were close to him. So you know what I mean? That kind of stopped his lyrical career a little bit. Now he did have some money problems, but I'm not gonna get into that because for me that has nothing to do with the music. You know, even though some of those money problems stemmed from how he handled business with his music, but that's another show. Let's move on, man. I haven't even got my timer on, so I'm just talking to y'all right now. You know, I could have gone over by now, and I might have gone over by now. Who knows? You know what? Let me take a little break, see how long this is, and we'll be back.
Hey yo, rose petals in the morning, flowers got me on it. The hood like a game, cause these lanes keep spawning. And they acting like they tough, ain't no facts when they performing. If it wasn't for my queen letting me squeeze the Charlotte, would've been lost my mind and had these young cats running. I ain't got time, man, I'm trying to really do something. Yeah, I hear them talking loud, but they ain't said nothing. I'ma watch them backslide, cause these dudes be fronting, talking out their neck, so it's to the side when I'm dumping. Grits and butter, the table ready, taters they smothered, pocket stacked now, so wifey filling the cup with.
We are back. Unfortunately, folks, we are running close to the end of our allotted time, so I will be drawing this to a close. But before I do, there are 3 groups that I would like to mention that I left out only because we were talking about industry legends. These 3 groups that I'm about to mention are legends in Charlotte, in Salisbury, in North Carolina, basically. Oh, I should have gotten a glass of water. Excuse me. Definitely edit that out. Maybe. Anyway, but these 3 groups, I'm familiar with all of them personally. You know, I not just know of them, I've shaken hands with them, I've partied with some of them, I've mingled with their families, you know, we go back. So, that first group, the Dutch Masters, I spoke of them on a previous podcast, so I had to speak of them again because they were awesome. They were awesome. I'm gonna see if I can get in touch with somebody and see if I can come across some of their old music as well. I think you guys would love that. The second group that I want to mention, again, well known in Charlotte, perhaps in North Carolina as a whole, the Arsenal. The Arsenal were awesome. They were a street group, probably I can't really say who I'd compare them to that you may be familiar with, but Arsenal was they were a dope group. They were a dope group. Big ups to Reggie. Big ups to Reggie. You know. And then finally, the last group that I want to mention, perhaps not legends per se, but they were well known in certain circles, and lyrically they were some of the best, and definitely had one of the best producers back then. You know what I mean? And that group that I want to mention. Are you ready? The Gutter League. That was the Gutter League. And I know what you're thinking, the Gutter League. But it stood for something. You know, it was God's United to teach all. But awesome group of guys. Kenwan Burns, Chris Daniels, Zachary Campbell, Robert Preston, Wreck Boys. Well, Wreck Boys weren't part of Gutter League, but we got close to them cats, so I wanted to throw them in there too. The Wreck Boys over off of Beatty's Ford. Shout out to my peoples. But yeah, Gutter League, man. We did our thing. We did our thing. And no, I didn't mention them just because I was actually a part of it. I mentioned them because those guys deserve some mention. You know, they do. They put in a lot of work back then. Unfortunately, things just didn't work out for us the way that it should have. But everyone has a path, you know, and everyone has to walk that path alone sometimes. And that's just what it is, you know, that's life. But it is time to say goodbye. Before I leave you, I want to leave you with this. Let your steps be sure, and always let your voice be heard. I am Mr. Fantastic, aka The Voice. This is Alien Nation, The Basement. We'll see you next time. Peace.